And Dan Nolan is here with us now with information on some distressing material, in fact, that's been recently published. Dan.
Yeah, well, Doreen, there's been so much of these videos being uploaded on YouTube over the past few days, and obviously this one is something that we're wanting to bring a little bit more attention to. Now, this video was handed to an AlJazeera member of staff by a Libyan fleeing Egypt at the border crossing. Now, there are many unanswered questions about this video, but what we do know is that it was allegedly filmed in Derna in the east. It shows at least 22 dead bodies face down. Most of them have their hands cuffed behind their back. Most of them also appear to have a gunshot wound to the head. And a lot of them are also wearing Libyan soldiers' uniforms. Now, this is where the grey area emerges, because there are reports circulating in Libya that these were in fact soldiers who refused to follow orders given to them from above to attack or to kill protesters, and as a result of refusing that order were then executed by their own men. Now, we can't verify that for sure, but it's certain that the full horror of the events in Libya over the past week may take a very long time to fully emerge, and this is certainly another chapter in that, because whether it's soldiers or whether it's protesters or whoever it is, there's clearly at least more than 20 people who've been killed in very brutal fashion here, and the big question is just how many times can the international community strongly condemn such images or deeply regret such images, and when is the international community going to do something to stop more of these kinds of images emerging?
Yeah, Dan, that certainly is distressing there, that video we were just looking at. But I'm curious to know, what are the chances that these types of videos can be used as evidence against the Libyan regime in any court of law?
Well, there's a big chance that it could potentially be used, but obviously at the moment there is so much chaos going on in Libya that the bigger priority needs to be trying to just stop these things from occurring. Now, the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, was talking about holding the Libyan government to account for these kinds of actions, but to be honest, Colonel Gaddafi would not be really fearing a trip to The Hague to face the International Criminal Court at the moment. The words that he spoke last night are saying that he wants to die as a martyr on his own soil. So you couldn't imagine that those kind of threats are going to sort of stop the brutal fashion that he and his forces are trying to quell this uprising at the moment, and that something more tangible than veiled threats needs to be made. All
right, Dan, thank you very much for that. Well, Muammar Gaddafi, he's always kept his family close with his sons, an integral part of his power structure. And the most prominent is his son, Saif al-Islam, who we've heard from. And many in the West came to see him as a reforming influence. But his dramatic appearance on Libyan television, that was on Sunday night, defending his father, has shattered many illusions. Here's Barnaby Phillips.
He was the charming face of the Gaddafi regime, a man who loved art.
This kind of faces, it was the beginning of my journey with colors.
A man who wooed the world with talk of reform and the promise of access to Libya's wealth. So Saif al-Islam's rambling televised speech came as a shock to those foreign admirers. He said drug addicts, foreigners and Islamists were plotting against his father, who would fight to the last bullet. This is the London School of Economics, the LSE. Saif studied here, his charity has given it money. But academics who knew and liked him are now appalled by his speech in support of a brutal regime.
Here was a man, I think, under huge stress and personal circumstances, now torn apart by this tension between, on the one hand, loyalty to his father and family, and on the other hand, the reform of his country. This was almost a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions being played out in front of us. And when he came to make his final judgment, he made the wrong one.
This is the library at LSE, and inside we managed to find a copy of Saif al-Islam's doctoral dissertation, which he submitted in 2008, more than 400 pages long. It's entitled "The Role of Civil Society in the Democratization of Global Governance Institutions." Let me just show you a highlight or two. He talks about the problems of citizens who live in undemocratic states where governments are authoritarian, abusive and unrepresentative, of their people's real interests. This man has tracked Saif's financial dealings, in particular his role in setting up a fund called the Libyan Investment Authority.
It's now worth about $150 billion, and vast numbers of financial institutions from London and around the world have been trooping to its doors, trying to get a piece of that action. And one of the ways in which they have been doing that is trying to make contact with Saif al-Islam or his friends, because they believe that he is one of the gatekeepers for that fund.
At the LSE, the students are upset about the ties between their university and the son of a dictator. But there are many others now wondering if it was such a good idea to do business with Saif al-Islam. Barnaby Phillips, Al Jazeera, London.
The moment the New Zealand earthquake struck, captured on closed-circuit television, will be live in Christchurch, a city ripped apart by the tragedy. And rehabilitating former foes, Pakistan tries to reintegrate the Swat Valley's Taliban fighters. That's coming up.
As a slight chill spreads across Melbourne, we'll find a way to perk you up.
Well, across the Indian subcontinent, we are looking at more rain showers coming into the forecast, especially down towards the south. Take a look at the forecast map. You notice down towards the very southern part of the continent, very heavy rain showers are going to start to move up. After that, we are going to be seeing some clouds pushing up, especially towards parts of Hyderabad. For New Delhi, though, 22 degrees for you. You are going to be seeing some rain just to the north towards the Himalayas, as well as some heavier snow in the upper elevations. But good news for Sri Lanka. We are looking at partly cloudy conditions and very dry for you, so you can finally dry out from all that flooding you did have. Over towards Africa, we are going to be seeing some very heavy rain showers along the coast of South Africa, Durban, as well as Johannesburg. Your temperatures are going to get into the mid to upper 20s, but Cape Town is looking beautiful at 28 degrees. Madagascar, that is not a cyclone. We're still seeing a lot of tropical weather there, but the cyclone has passed, but flooding is still a big potential in their forecast. Up towards the Arabian Peninsula, temperatures are coming up. We are looking at Doha of about 27 degrees on Thursday, Riyadh about 31. Those temperatures are going to start to come up a little bit as we go towards the weekend. Notice here, Doha at 28, Riyadh at 33, and as we go a little bit further towards the north, we're going to be seeing Baghdad looking at temperatures of about 27 degrees for them.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.